Okay, you're welcome back. This is still TV3Newday, and it's already heated in the studio based on the earlier conversation that we had. We have Comrade Murtala, who is the MP for Tamale Central, Comrade Murtala Mohammed. He's here with us, and Kamal Dean is the Deputy Director of Communications for the NPP. And yeah, the back and forth has already started. But let's go straight into our headlines in our dailies. We'll start off with the Business and Financial Times, and it says surge in food prices drives inflation to 20-week high. Also, garbage out, garbage in. How Europe's e-waste problem is a burden. Tax revenue from informal sector records a decline, and target SMEs with competitive advantage and after sensitization. Let's move on now to the Chronicle, and it says that fear human beings through Nipa She Adesagbe and Megboto Menyo. And well, it says Mahama still defiant. I won't retract, do or die. It's an idiomatic expression, and he says that it's only the school dropouts who misconstrued this statement, because what he meant was totally different from the explanation that was given on social media. We'll take a look again at that video before we start the conversation. But also, Prime Minister of Ethiopia calls on Akufo-Addo yesterday, and Afeku to respond to Nzima's chief's invitation over disputed 200,000 Ghana cedis cash. You remember the whole back and forth after the Attorney General's report on some monies that were spent. Daily Guide says Mahama fired for do or die threat, stands by it. And again, yesterday he was at Moonlight FM, and that's where he explained what he meant by do or die. Nana refunds 237,974 Ghana cedi salary increment, and people are saying a little too late. Why did he not refund it earlier? Ejura Mayhem reports next week, and we're told yesterday or 2 days ago, Mr. Eugene Ahin, who is in charge of communication at the presidency, indicated that the president had given go-ahead for the full report to be published. And so we'll all get to see what the three-member committee proposed. Ethiopia Prime Minister in town for talks. Now to the Business Finder. American companies thriving in Ghana. U.S. envoy courts more investors. Ghana gears up for Africa's largest summit, and Ghana-Ethiopia to deepen ties. Now let's move on to the Daily Graphic, and it says on the front page, mentally ill persons invade streets, threaten efforts to keep cities clean. And those are some photos of some mentally ill persons. And contractors face prosecution over road damage, and cross-border traders appeal for government support. On to the New Crusading Guide, and it says Mincom refutes $150 million lithium discovery video, and Mohammed's do or die comments recipe for disaster, according to an MPP MP, and also a Muamman chief to receive honorary doctorate degree. And below, we have Guinea coup makers have violated ECOWAS charter, according to Akufo-Addo. An emergency virtual meeting was held yesterday to discuss the way forward, and some sanctions have been meted out against Guinea, including being suspended from all activities with regards to ECOWAS. And they want, they've said that, you know, the life of the ousted president, whatever may happen to him, it is the military men that will be held responsible for that. They also want a transition back into constitutional rule. And finally, the Ghanaian Times, at virtual emergency meeting, ECOWAS suspends Guinea over coup d'etat, and there's a photo of the president on there, president of Ghana, by the way. Ghana, Ethiopia vow to deepen relations for the benefits of citizens, and MP goes to court over Agenda 111, seeks refund of $6 million that was spent, on the design. He also raised a concern, and that's, lawsuit was filed by Honorable Dafia Mekbo, and he is the MP for South Dai, and he says that procurement breaches engulf the entire project, and so he's asking for more details on that as part of the lawsuit. Anyway, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you've calmed down now.
You should be
no. You were the one who was very heated this morning.
Entered in the studio and started. We are having a conversation, and he entered and came with all die be die and preposterously attempting to compare all die be die with do or die.
So they're totally different?
Yeah, absolutely different.
Let's hold on. Let's take a look at that video where former President John Dramani Mahama explained what he meant by do or die, and you know the other things that he said with regards to that, and we'll come back and see if really it's the same as all die be die or it's totally different. Take a look.
You must be at the collation center and make sure the right thing is done. Don't abdicate your responsibility at that level. Maintain sign is a do or die affair. It's an English idiom. Obianko be in the dictionary and see what do or die means. It's different from all die be die.
Do or die. Do and die. Die and do. Do, die. They all mean one thing. The bottom line is that to be for one is to be forearmed, and therefore some of us we belong to a tradition which you cannot, as it were, make the slightest attempt to humiliate or to embarrass or to bully us. So you should bring it on.
That's Mr. Ibrahim. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, and he was responding to the earlier statement by former President John Dramani Mahama. I'll start off with you, comrade, because the former president has caught some flack for the statements that he made, especially because the NDC at the time also called out President Akufo-Addo when he said all die be die. He further came out to explain that it was the opposite of the tribal statements that people had attached to what he had said. And so a lot of people are saying that if you condemned him for that statement, why are you now, glorifying, if I may put that in quotes, what the president has said and trying to explain it? The former president says that it's an idiomatic expression. And that's just about it.
Bella, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to my eating friend. Yes, it seems to me that there is an exponential increase in size.
In size?
Yes, in size. Yes.
Has he changed much?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Bella, I know him.
Maybe you're the only one who's seen him.
I know him. Bella, I know him. Bella, I know him more than you know him.
Oh,
he was
okay.
a tall, lanky young man.
So at what point did he gain the weight?
Since they came to power in 2016, 2017, there has been some exponential increase in my brother. That is understandable. It's just unfortunate that a very good, sharp guy, I thought President Nanado would have appointed my brother as a minister. Unfortunately,
we're still waiting for more appointments.
Well, I hope so. I hope so.
Yes,
I hope he does. And good morning to your viewing public, and most importantly, the good people of Tamale Central. Bella, it is preposterous to even attempt to compare the two statements, the do or die, and that reckless, irresponsible, violent-driven statement which was made by President then candidate Nanado. He made that statement, and even when there was tremendous pressure exerted on him to apologize, he refused. He doubled down. And
it's not the same thing the former president is also saying.
I'm coming. He doubled down and even defended it the more. And people like Kamal and Co. were publicly defending such violent-driven, reckless and irresponsible statement. And that's why I'm saying that it is preposterous. When Haas and Kotoko are playing all the time, it is always do or die. And President Mahama, on the very platform, the very spot, the very time, he said it is going to be do or die. He said, I don't mean all die be die. And even said that explain the do or die on that same platform, that same program. So if I make a statement and I explained it, I explained what I mean by making that statement. You have a section of the media who attempt, for some reasons best known to them, attempt preposterously to compare that statement with the all die be die. Assuming President Mahama made the statement and left, and it took him days to come to explain himself and what he meant by the statement, there could have been some justification in attempting to twist the statement. The same program, the same spot. When he made that statement, he explained what he meant by that. So what other explanation do anybody want? So anytime Kotoko is playing with Haas and they says today's match is going to be do or die, has anybody ever been killed? I heard someone saying that the May 9 was as a result. What ridiculous that May 9 was as a result of some of the do or die. And I won't be surprised if such a person goes to town with that ridiculous statement to make. Even without that, if such a thing would have happened, it would have happened. It had nothing to do with that. And it is not only Kotoko and Has. Several people, it's going to be do or die. Now, President Mahama said that, look, we witnessed what happened in 2020. For the first time in our democratic processes and elections, you have a government directing military, gun-wielding military officers and police officers to go to coalition centers for the first time, gun down people. As we see today, there are women who are widows. There are kids who are orphans. There are kids whose educations have been truncated because the president directed the military and the police to gun down those people who went to exercise their democratic rights as enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. These people were gunned down, and President Mahama simply says, we are not going to allow such to happen, and it is going to be do or die at the polling station.
But isn't that
when
where
someone
the problem is? Because already there's some tension. And so if you're also making these kinds of statements that seem to be inflammatory.
What tension is already there?
Is there not tension already? Because up until now, we still do not have closure on the people who were unfortunately killed.
The reason is that the reason why
we should be a little more careful in the statements.
Bella, we will not have a closure. The violence that was perpetrated on Ghanaians was directed by Mr. Nanado. We cannot have a closure.
He asked them to gun?
He asked them to do
How?
that. He takes the ultimate responsibility. And I am saying, as we see today, the president has not spoken in condemnation of the murder of those 9 young people in this country. Not a single statement has the president made about that. So when you talk about the extension, that tension is occasioned by the president. But my focus
Two wrongs don't make a right.
There isn't any, you see, that is why I'm saying that when you begin to juxtapose the do or die, which is absolutely harmless, with all die be die, it is preposterous. And I have realized that a lot of people, particularly section of the media, that is the first basis for them to have a justification of condemning President Mahama. They must put the do or die with that irresponsible, violent-driven, all die be die at par. And the moment you do that, now once they're able to establish that wrong footing, then they go ahead to say that President Mahama made a mistake. Don't even compare the two. I am saying that we have had do or die. Everybody, and I believe that in this Metro TV3 and other media, you have, today is going to be do or die. We say it. So if President Mahama said do or die on that same platform, he explained what he meant by do or die. That same spot. He didn't need to go out for people to remind him. He explained that. Yet this argument is made, and they attempt with that wobbling narrative, comparing the two, juxtaposing it. And on that basis, they say that President Mahama said the same thing Mr. Nanado said when he was a candidate.
What kind of foundation are you laying for, and I'll say grassroots with care? Because maybe for a lot of people who are enlightened, they will have the opportunity to understand what do or die means. But for some die-hard fanatic who may not necessarily understand, and they look at it with face value and say, do or die means I have to do everything I can to support my party and ensure that we don't lose the election. And if I die, I die. I mean, if I am engaged in some violence, then it really doesn't matter because my leader says do or die. Are you not worried about the implications of that?
Bella, I am not going to, and this statement, get me very clear, it is not in reference to you. This arrogant posture of people thinking that those who appreciate some of these things are only those who are educated. We must stop it. Are you telling me that the ordinary woman on the street at Makwala, the Kayi girl, doesn't understand do or die? Is that what we are suggesting?
We may understand it differently.
In fact, you can have educated people who wouldn't even appreciate it more than the Kayi girl at Agbobulushi. The point I'm simply making, anytime Haas is playing with Kotoko, or even when we're in Tamale, RTU playing with Kotoko or Haas, then we say do or die. Those who understood it were those who were not even elected. So to assume that many people, the teeming mass of the NDC and other people in this country, wouldn't understand the gravitas of do or die, it is arrogance. I'm saying that the people of this country, majority of the people of this country, have a profound appreciation of what constitutes do or die.
I like that because majority.
I'm saying,
there are still people who may not understand.
Of course, even what we are discussing here, there are still people who would listen and wouldn't understand. You can't have everything in absolucy. The point I'm simply making is that the people of this country understands when when they understand when you say do or die. Okay. And I'm saying, Bella, the crass difference between the statement made by President Mahama on that platform and that desperate attempt to juxtapose it and compare it without violent driven statement made by Mr. Nanado is telling. President Mahama on that same program, after he said do or die, said, I don't mean all die be die, and explained on that same program what he meant by do or die. Okay. Anybody who is watching us should take his dictionary and look for the meaning of do or die. So if you are able to understand this, I don't think that this desperate attempt to compare these two statements would matter. And in any case, are we all happy about what happened on 7th December?
Nobody's happy about that.
So I'm saying that when the people of this country demanded that president and the government must act. When we had Ayawaso, when people went there to exercise their democratic rights, they were beaten to pulp. Now, the president consistently failed to act. And President Mahama says that the 2020 elections, at the polling station, even if you listen to him, that at the polling station is going to be do or die. Okay. We will do everything possible. We will stretch ourselves to our limit to ensure that the democratic rights and processes of this country are protected. And never again should we allow anybody to come and intimidate us with guns.
Let me bring Kamaldeen in, because yesterday your Deputy General Secretary spoke to Johnny Hughes on Radio 3 FM, and he said that bring it on. I mean, we will not be cowed by words of the NDC, but if this is what they want, then they should bring it on. Is that also not further inflaming passion with regards to what has been said that already has been misconstrued?
Thank you very, very much. Let me say very good morning to Ghanaians. Good morning to my lost friend. It's been a while anyway.
Has he also gained some weight, or he's lost weight? Which is which?
My weight is as a result of junk.
Oh, yes, as a result of junk.
Bella.
It's good living.
Bella.
He has refused to visit the family any longer.
No one will chase away good wishes for you. Okay? If it comes, embrace it, and maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will seal it for you. Good morning to you.
But you
Bella,
didn't embrace it when I said it.
Taking my discourse from where you just ended with your question to me, this is exactly what Ghanaians, meaningful citizens of Ghana, strong people, objective minds of Ghana, who have nurtured our constitution for close to 30 years now, okay, want to avoid. A situation where we all give and take. We put and subject our democracy to an uncertainty that would not help us or help our forward march. That is what everyone is seeking to avoid. So that if yesterday all die be die was said and people condemned it, and of course the clergy, CSOs, people who mean well for Ghana condemned it, and it took a leader who listens to come out and say, indeed, if what I said was wrong and people misconstrued it to mean something else, I apologize.
He apologized?
He did.
He only explained.
I am saying
he explained that and this was opposite the tribal sentiment attached.
I'm saying that. Of course, the gentleman came out, who is now the first gentleman of the land, came out to explain himself, gave himself the context, or gave to us the context in which he spoke, and of course, at the end of the day, told Ghanaians that indeed, if you do not take it to look good, I apologize, and I insist on that.
When did he say this, and on what platform?
Of course,
do you remember?
Let me proceed. I don't remember. I'll give it to you. But see, Bella, let's get to where we are today. Today, do or die. We have now myriads of English teachers around who are telling us to go and learn English. And that some of us who do not even understand what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama said are school dropouts. Okay? In the next vein, you see my friend sitting here telling me that even the Kai woman and the Makola woman, who with all respect to them has not been to school, understands do or die. The same people says we those who do not understand are school dropouts. But those who have not been to school at all even understand. Can you see the contradiction and the ridiculousness of what they do?
Yes.
Listen to them. Yes, that we are school dropouts.
Yes,
if we don't understand do or die, Ghanaians, President Mahama says you are school dropouts if you don't understand.
Are you not inflaming my passion Okay.
I am saying.
But
Listen to me.
don't do that because then you're
why shouldn't do what? I am only paraphrasing what the man said. I am not
among the people.
Oh no. The man said he wants Ghanaians to listen, and I'm helping him.
But why are you reiterating it?
You're reference to people like you.
Why are you reiterating it?
See, I was very quiet when my good brother was on,
by the way.
Okay? You see, President Mahama says, Ghanaians, you are school dropouts. In fact, let me even use the word, you are illiterate when you don't understand do or die. That's what it means. That's President Mahama who wants your leadership, who wants you to vote for him. He says you don't even understand it. You see, and now he has unleashed his communicators to teach us English all over. Bella, Oxford Dictionary gives a definition of do or die. It's here. It says persist, even if death is the result. Persist, even if death is the result. Now, second, it says used to describe a critical situation where one's action may result in victory or defeat.
So,
you get that? The point I want to make is that, and I want emphasis on death.
Can you read the second one?
Emphasis on death.
Can you read the second one for the avoidance?
I was very quiet. You see, my brother, don't do this. Emphasis on death. What we all seek to avoid is what we all seek to avoid.
He's trying to just.
Oh, no, that's my phone. Please, please. See, let's not do this. What we all seek to avoid is lives being lost. We do not want to see an election where blood is shed. We do not want to see an election where a single life is lost to Mother Ghana. So when you now tell people, and even when you watch the video, okay, where President Mahama was speaking, he was hitting the table. It's going to be a do or die affair, hitting the table. Emotions tells you what the man is communicating.
What has that got to do?
To hit the table and tell you it's going to do and die, you know what it means?
He was gesturing.
People don't care who dies for them to become leaders. That's what it means.
We're playing the
They don't care who will die for them to become leaders in this country.
Is that what it means when you're talking?
Not this one, not this particular video. That's the first one.
Okay,
can we please play that one? With a finger like that. He was do or die. and they understand it. So people must die for him to become president. But see, Bella.
But he says that's not what he meant.
Bella, the man has been vice president. He has been president. And in fact, he has been president again. Now he's seeking to be president again. In NPP, in NDC, I believe he's the only person who can give them presidency.
Why do you say so?
That's how he sees himself. He's the only person. There's nobody in NDC. But he
led them once. There must be a reason why they're bringing him back as flag bearer. Because the NDC is happy.
You are yet to even have an intra-party. Listen, if not, you are yet to even have an intra-party contest to determine whether you even be the flag bearer or not. But you are all out doing thank you tour, and in the course of doing the thank you tour, campaign is now turned into English language teaching, and telling people to die because you want to become president again, not just become president again. Okay, so for me, I think that Ghanaians should watch it. What the kind of leaders we choose. Listen to the leaders that we want to choose, what they say, and of course, at the end of the day, use that to inform ourselves in choosing our leaders. I am not surprised. John Dramani Mahama has given a history of their violence nature. I remember in Koforidua, when Obeda Samoa and Co were whipped out of the party. You remember it was horsewhips. Frances Esiam, Obeda Samoa, they were giving horsewhips to get out of the party. That's where it started. Then it moved on. Then President Mahama himself stood somewhere in Volta region and said, look, we have a revolutionary route. And when it comes to violence, it's in our DNA. Violence, nobody can beat us to violence. So this election 2020, we are going to mark them boot for boot. The result of boot for boot.
But within the NPP as well, there were people who were sacked. The city general secretary.
I am telling you, I'm reporting.
And the whole controversy that came.
Afoko was not whipped, he was suspended. But I'm saying Obeda Samoa was whipped. Horse whips.
Was Akoto not chased?
I am saying that Afoko was not whipped.
Was Akoto not chased? I'm bringing another name and I'm asking, was he also not chased?
The man has told you where they are coming from. The man has told Ghanaians that their history is that they are violent in nature. He says they are ready. The next moment he says boot for boot. When they boot for boot, you know how it ended? It ended by they getting their emissaries to drink tea without biscuits. That's where the boot for boot ended. Because they were not focused. Next moment, you blame it on people, and you come down to say...
If your Deputy General Secretary also says that some of us will belong to a tradition which you cannot make the slightest attempt to humiliate or bully us, so he should bring it on. Let them bring it on. Is that also not encouraging some form of violence?
You intimidate me. You tell me that, look, you are going to do whatever it takes, even if it means shedding blood, killing people, maiming people.
He didn't say that.
That is the...
he's come back to say that's not what he said.
Interpret what do or die means.
He didn't say
that the resultant effect of it could be death.
But he said
so the man says you should die for him to be president. That's what it means. Simple. So the man now comes to say that you say my Deputy General Secretary should sit down, okay, and do not respond. He shouldn't resist to some of these comments. My point is that if you attempt to intimidate anyone, that person at the end of the day could also rise up. But that is what we are all seeking to avoid. That's why I said earlier on, we do not want our democracy to go that line. In fact, we've had series of elections. People have won, or parties have won, come into government, go out, come into government, go out. That is how we want it to go.
Okay.
My brother is here. Look, I am very close to him. Many do not know. We talk at our level. Okay? It doesn't mean, or it doesn't matter whether he's NDC or I'm MPP. What matters is that there's humanity that brings us together, and that bond is there. And that is how we should be showing out there. That's how our language should actually depict. I mean, out there. But when we sit here and want to chant violence, we want to preach violence, and we want our party followers to, if they resort to violence to get what is right, I think it's unfortunate.
You said earlier that the President Akufo-Addo apologized for that all-die-be-die statement.
I did.
But he did not. All he said was he was prepared to take the blame, but he did not apologize. He says, hold on. He says, let me just read it. I know the way...
That is the story you have.
Yes.
Maybe I have another story.
Okay, so if you have it, maybe you can counter. But he says that I know that the way the all-die-be-die comments were twisted proved to be an unfortunate statement from me. I'm prepared to accept all of that, but that is the origin. And it's with the exact opposite of a tribal statement. That's what he said in an interview. Unless you can tell me.
I am saying that you have just referred to a portal, which I don't even know. You've not even given me the source.
By the point, you've not even given me the source.
What is the text message? He said it on Peace FM. I have other portals where, of course, it's been reported that he's apologized. There are other portals. We can look at it. But maybe if your time.
You know what?
I'm still trying to find that, but I didn't get it.
He has shown remorse to whatever he said. Okay, he showed remorse. But if you come and sit here and then you sit and say, look, I am not going to apologize. It's going to be do or die affair. Let it be do or die. Okay. That is why my Deputy General Secretary responds to say that, okay, fine. If you go on that tangent, we'll also go on that tangent.
Two wrongs don't make a right. It's the same thing I asked him, and I'm asking you as well. Yeah. So if you both go back and forth, then where are we going with this?
That's the point I just made. It's not proper.
Okay.
Let's all condemn it.
Let's quickly move on to the next topic.
In the ground, there is something we call bleaching.
Bleaching. Okay, what does it mean?
That is your dagbanness, and it comes with upholding the values. Values that patriotism may be a bit different. Values that are held by many people, and one of such values are that when you make a false statement and you are caught pants down, just admit and apologize. Unfortunately, the bleaching that I know to be exhibited, my brother, on several platforms has vanished. I think that when it comes home, he's been exposed, pants down. But Bella, you see, interestingly, he's talking about NDC having a violent in our DNA.
I'm not talking about it.
Please, please, I'm coming. I'm going to report. In this country, let's compare the two candidates. Nyaho Tamaklo is one of the founding fathers of the NPP. Nyaho Tamaklo said that he wasn't going to vote for Nando because he's violent. I didn't say. Two, you have Maxwell Kofi Juma, who was the Metropolitan Chief Executive of Kumasi, said this man was violent. You had President Kufuor in 2008 elections. Everybody knew who he was supporting. He went to Kumasi, had a secret meeting with MPP leadership, and said that between Nanado and Alan, he said, when you are going to vote for someone.
No, he never said so.
Hold on. I'm saying that.
He never said
hold
that.
On. He
between Nanado and Alan?
Hold on. He
didn't
mention the names. I'm just saying, he didn't mention the names. He gave an analogy. And that analogy fits in perfectly what I'm going to say. He said that the candidates who are contesting, vote for someone. When you go to a crowd, you don't need to climb a tree to see him. When you stand, you easily see him. By the physical nature of these two candidates, everybody knew that Alan is taller than Nanado. Everybody knew. So I'm saying that you had Kofi Kumsen, who is an old friend, perhaps a childhood friend with President, who said, that person is not fit to be a president. When he becomes a president, I will not be able to sleep. I will sleep with one eye open. These were statements. Granted that those people hated him and made those statements. In 2000, maybe Kamal, I don't know how old you were. He said on Joy that should the MPP loses the elections, there will be blood in this country. The same person made that violent, driven, all die be die. And that is the point I made. He couldn't be able to explain. Now, the dictionary, the Oxford dictionary that he himself just read, he was unwilling to give me. And I wanted to just make an analysis. It has nothing to do with unleashing violence on people. As a matter of fact, the two explanations all support the position President Mahama has taken. And in any case, how dictionary is used. Now, you can have an explanation that may mean something different. You have another explanation that means something different. Now, even granted that the first explanation says that can lead to a loss of life, how about the second explanation? And now they have succeeded. Hold on. They have succeeded. I'm saying that either way, either of the two. But you see, that's the point I was making by a section of the media, that they have tried to compare these two and put them on the same line. The do or die, which is said and known by many Ghanaians not to be harmful, literally and even practically meaning, and the all die be die, which the president made. In any case,
but it's the context and the situation.
Even in the granted, let's argue by the context. The same context when President Mahama made the statement, he explained it. You don't need even to explain it out of context. But you see, this attempt to compare the two, and that is what I have realized is happening in this country, particularly a section of the Ghanaian populace, that in the first place, let's put the all die be die and the do or die on the same level. So the moment we succeed in doing that, then let's go on the tangent of attacking President Mahama. And that is why I say
but
putting
President
them...
Kufuor was also equally
so I'm saying you don't compare... Listen, I'm saying that you don't put that evil-driven, that violent, that irresponsible, reckless, all that. You don't put it on the same pedestal with do or die. Do or die is used by many people. So what I'm saying is that people tried to put them on the same level. So once they succeed in putting them on the same level, then they go on the tangent and said that when President Mahama, President Nana Addo made that statement, we condemned him, and therefore we must condemn President Mahama. And they intelligently do it. If they are not able to succeed to put them on the same level, they can make this preposterous assertion.
Had made these statements, would we be given all this dictionary explanation?
I don't think that there would have been. I don't think that there would have been any problem. Do or die.
He wouldn't have found a problem. If he had already
when President Nana Addo, when President then candidate Nana Addo said that boot for boot, we might boot for boot. It's just the same thing as do or die. When he said that we will fight these elections even to the trenches, he made those statements. Nobody ever made a fuss out of it. But we are simply saying that all die be die cannot, under any stretch of imagination, compare the two. Even where myself and my brother are coming from in Zogu, I don't think that people will compare the two or die with all that.
So we can take a look at the virtual meeting yesterday.
Isn't it sad that we are serving Ghanaians this morning with this recipe?
Which recipe?
We shouldn't be discussing violence issues.
Because we have a violent president at hand. That's why we are discussing violence.
But someone who has been a leader in this country before, who claimed monumentally his infrastructure that he actually churned out and gave to Ghanaians
was actually he claimed.
Is a match. Who claimed that there was no hardship under him? Who claimed that the economy that he ruled was far better? When in fact we all saw the real growth of economy. That same person is now not talking policy. He's not talking solutions. He's speaking violence, do or die to you. And we have to come to sit here and discuss that. But anyway, that is what we are serving this morning.
Please let him land. Otherwise we will not make
Frontier Health under President Mahama. Frontier Health wouldn't have been given to the husband of his daughter. Frontier Health wouldn't have been given to the wife of his secretary. Frontier Health would not have been given to that.
Cool down.
Take your time.
Come on, land on this for me so we can move on.
So to land, I think is a very sad and unfortunate statement. Whether it was said yesterday, it's said today, we shouldn't see our leaders speaking in that manner. It's not going to help us charter a good course as people who believe in democracy.
Okay.
Clearly, it's not proper, and we should all condemn it.
Okay. All right. Let's move on now. Yesterday, an extraordinary session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of States and Government took place, a virtual conference. And this was with regards to the coup that took place in Guinea on the 5th of September, where the military ousted President Alpha Condé. Now we call him former President Alpha Condé. And so there was a need for this emergency meeting. And so a statement has been put out after this meeting. And from all indication, it's clear that Guinea has been suspended from all ECOWAS activities. And that's not the only thing that happened yesterday. And so let me just read a bit of what happened. So it says to suspend Guinea from all ECOWAS governing bodies with immediate effect, to immediately dispatch a high-level ECOWAS mission to Guinea to assess the situation. The authority will review the situation in light of developments in the Republic of Guinea and the assessment mission report. And the authority also calls on the African Union and the United Nations to endorse the decision stated in paragraphs 8, 9, 10, and 11 of this final communique. And finally, the authority decides to remain actively seized on this matter. And so those were the conclusions that came about after that meeting. There were about 13 or 14 heads of states, African heads of states, that took part in this virtual meeting. And a number of people are saying that, you know, ECOWAS has been more reactive than proactive. In fact, yesterday, there was a Guinean activist who spoke on radio, and he said that for the people in Guinea, they see these meetings and the interventions by ECOWAS as a regular thing. It's supposed to happen. But really, where were they when there was a referendum, you know, to change or review the constitution to allow President Alpha Condé to go for a third term? When people were being killed, ECOWAS only released statements, but really did not do much. And so the people in Guinea, the locals, do not see this as going to change any situation in any way. Colonel Domboya is seen as a legitimate person because he's released, you know, political prisoners and all of that. And so they're celebrating that even more than whatever ECOWAS may want to do to avert this situation. Kamal, I'll come to you first. What do you say about the concerns by the people in Guinea that what ECOWAS is doing is really just not going to make any difference?
When we sat, my good friend asked if we were going to discuss Guinea. And you said yes, it was one of the items on the table. I understood where he was coming from.
Where was that?
Where was he coming from?
I understood where he was coming from.
Where is he coming from?
He has an interest in Guinea.
Do you not have an interest?
Oh, he has so much.
We have a very close ties with Guinea.
They are in classes. His interest, the
It
level
dates
of his interest is higher than mine.
former President
And I will explain later. Maybe after the program, I'll let you know. I'll let you know why he has an interest in Guinea. But let's say good morning to Hajia, wherever she is. Hajia, the wife, I want to say good morning to her.
Oh, she's from Guinea?
No, I'm just saying good morning to her.
My wife is from Guinea.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh,
So he has so
I
much
see.
interest. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah. Then the wife is my very good friend too.
Okay.
So anyway,
Are you
but
partly
see,
from Guinea too?
me, I'm not from Guinea.
Okay. I'm just checking.
I sometimes speak French with the wife. You know?
Yeah. Okay, carry on.
But you see, Bella, on a serious note, coup d'etat, in whatever form and shape it comes, must be condemned. Where we are today in Africa. Globally, I don't think countries that have now attained the status of developed nations, okay, would resort to coup d'etats or, if you like, militarization as we speak right now. That is not a good thing. So for ECOWAS to sit down and suspend Guinea as a result of a coup d'etat, of course, they could not have done anything than that. It's clear.
Okay.
Okay? The argument of ECOWAS should have been proactive. You see, when you understand how ECOWAS works, or international community works, sovereignty of a nation is never questioned. Okay? Your internal laws, internal arrangements are your internal arrangements. If you say, okay, somebody attempted to change the constitution or has changed the constitution to allow himself to run for the third term, if internally it was done, ECOWAS doesn't have the mandate. ECOWAS doesn't have what it takes, per the way the structure of ECOWAS is, to come and say, internally you can't do X, Y, Z. Constitutionalism debars them. So this argument of they should have been proactive, for me, I don't see the ground that people are talking or using to, as you like, talk. Even though we can make the moral argument, the objective argument. What happened to change the constitution for you to run third term is not a proper thing. Objectively. If the constitution says that let's go 2 term, and then you agreed and subscribe to it, and you have voted for first term, second term, third term, please do not do anything to jeopardize the constitution of your state. But it is an internal matter because you are a sovereign state. So ECOWAS or Nanado, who is the chairperson of ECOWAS, has nothing to do with that.
But when people are being detained without trial for over 10 months.
Oh, but these are, like I said, these are all internal matters. But that is why Amnesty International is there. Even Amnesty International, they have to appeal, go on negotiations. International communities, they have to. Okay? Sometime or certain time, it is when it involves, for example, a nation trying to invade another nation. That is where you have transcended your boundaries and you are moving into, just like Iraqi, Kuwait matter. You saw United Nations coming in. And they had arguments for that. But of course, intra or internal matters is not really easy. Not too long ago, you saw what's happening in Afghanistan. Taliban taking over, the US says, look, we are going to pull out. Because they cannot just unilaterally say that, look, we are going to fight the Taliban government. It's an internal matter. Sometimes certain settled argument will come in, as it were. But the Guinea matter, for me, I think that, yes, indeed, what happened for an internal structure to be changed was not a proper arrangement, was not good. Objectively, all of us will condemn it. However, it does not also come to second a coup d'etat.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Military coming to take over is not a precedent we should set at all. We have come a long way. And I read on social media, sadly, people say in Ghana this should happen. That should have said, really?
But is it also not based on the fact that even the people in Guinea are celebrating? The people in Conakry came out to celebrate this coup.
That is the more reason why it's even an internal matter. They are celebrating. They are looking at it as a sovereign state whose matter, is actually to them and nothing else. However, ECOWAS has the right to say, we disconnect our relationship with you for what you have done, because we all abhor this coup d'etat. And if what ECOWAS did, clearly for me, was in the right direction. Clearly, they had nothing to do than to say they suspended them. But it doesn't take away the sovereignty of Guinea. And for Doumbouya or whoever, what's the name? Is it
Doumbouya, Colonel Doumbouya. Yes.
I hear he was a aide-de-camp to the president?
Yes, he was. Wow. He was serving in France, and the president brought him back to come and serve.
This is real Okuku.
An elite part of the military.
I said, this is real and actual Okuku. But you listen to Patoma's song.
Yes, but at the back of this coup is corruption allegations. And Colonel Doumbouya, when he spoke to the media, said that one of the reasons why they staged the coup was because of corruption. Now, when you look at the heads of states, who converged for that emergency ECOWAS meeting, I mean, when it comes to bad governance and corruption, a number of them have been fingered in that. Even the Ivorian president, and I was saying this earlier, that he found a way to run a third term. That also came with a number of protests. But he's still in this meeting trying to profess solutions with regards to something that he also had done in his country.
That is the irony.
And so how do these same people who have been fingered for various levels of corruption and bad governance, how are they supposed to fix whatever problem is happening in Guinea? I'm
not sure you can make reference to African history in terms of governance, okay? From maybe let's take it post-independence, running till now, that a single country will be cited for not having corruption cases. No country.
Okay.
It is something that, of course, we are all fighting and persistently fighting to ensure that we reduce it or we even eradicate it, as it were. But the point I want to make is that, yes, the coup makers would obviously look for reasons why they embark on such, move. They would give reasons, including corruption, including maladministration, whatever. But what do we see? President Rawlings, when he was going to embark on AFRC coup d'etat, corruption was the main issue. Before he exited power, what happened? We had a whole lot of issues. Why? Did Ghana become heaven?
Okay.
So the point I want to make is that we don't just use that. We don't just use that. It's a reason. They will all give reasons. But it is not a proper move for us to say, let us second coup d'etat. Coup d'etat is not a good thing, and let's all fight it.
Of course. Comrade, what do you make of this situation with ECOWAS and stepping in?
The meeting was chaired by Corruption Mo King Kong. The meeting was chaired by the king.
Go ahead, Doumbouya.
Let me finish. I listen to you.
Go ahead, Doumbouya.
The meeting was chaired by Corruption King Kong. King Kong is bigger than everybody.
Why do you call him Corruption?
President Nanado is fantastically corrupt. the most corrupt
Are you bringing
leader.
it back to Ghana?
Please,
The
the most
Guinea.
corrupt.
We're talking Guinea.
Please,
this is serious.
Hold on, please. Hold on.
No,
I asked the question on corruption.
Not corruption.
come on.
I asked the question on corruption, and you responded to that. He's responding to that same question.
The meeting was
which is why I'm asking him why he's referring to the president.
The people listen, I'm
as
sorry.
corrupt because it's not fair.
And again,
Hold on.
Bella, and
Hold on.
again,
doing an international-
the virtual meeting, the president sat at a place which has become the citadel for corruption, unfortunately, and sad. But I would explain that. You see, Bella, interestingly, he's telling us that yes, ECOWAS has nothing to do, it's an internal matter. When President Mills said...
No, I'm not telling you. That's what I'm not telling you.
Oh, thank you, I agree. We can clap for you. When President Mills said Zufiasen in Ivory Coast, the same people, including the current president, they went to town. We're talking about the role Ghana should play. President Mills said, hold on, please. They are all in... Kamal, for the purposes of your information, I did international relations at Master.
It doesn't matter.
Hold on, my thesis was actually on conflict.
You can write papers on it, but still may be wrong.
Let him make his point. I'll give you the chance to also respond.
You won't teach me this. So allow me to just make my point. I'm saying that whether ECOWAS level or state-to-state level, what President Mills said was perfect. And that is why I say, I agree with you that as part of the charter of ECOWAS, you have that you can meddle in. But you see, the sad aspect of it is that when the same leader in Guinea circumvented the will of the people, amended the constitution, for the purposes of he ran the third time, our president didn't issue a statement condemning it. He ought to have condemned it. And as a matter of fact, when the man came to Ghana to witness another robbery of an elections which saw the swearing in of our president, he was given a
the
VIP.
Supreme Court says
please. Please, it doesn't matter what the
Supreme
Supreme Court cannot determine to me whether the elections were rigged or not. The Supreme Court ruled in a matter that was brought to the Supreme Court. I am saying that Mutala, the elections we had were rigged. If they were rigged, it doesn't matter.
But if the Supreme Court says it wasn't rigged,
I'm saying that the Supreme people disagree with the position of a Supreme Court. I am saying that the Supreme Court ruled in a matter that was brought before it and gave their ruling. President Nana Addo is the president, but I am saying that the 2020 elections were robbed. They were robbed by an activist of an MPP in the person of Jim Mensah and Bosman Asari. And I have the right to say that. But let me just look at the issues in Guinea. Look, Bella, allow me to make my point.
Come on, please.
Hold
on. Like I said, I'll let you
see, when you mention corruption, you realize he didn't talk about it. And then when I mention it, these people are so uncomfortable with the word corruption, the word they use in the 2016 elections. They use corruption. Corruption was, in fact, played a lead role in ensuring that they win the elections.
Because today, former President Mahama was also fingered in a number of corruption.
And there can be a scintilla of evidence. Not a scintilla of evidence. In any case, you have leading members of civil society organizations who are saying that, look, President Nana Addo has taken corruption to another level. Look, I agree with President Kufuor when he said corruption started from Adam, once again, a leading member of the NPP. Yes, it's true, started from Adam. The difference...
So everybody is corrupt then?
When he said that, the difference... Corruption certainly will be in our society. It can be political corruption. It can be even media corruption. There are media men who are living...
corruption.
Oh, yes. There are journalists who are living in riches in this country today. People are not even asking where they are getting the money. There can be corruption. There can be corruption among MPs. There can be corruption everywhere. But I'm saying that the difference between the successful leaders and President Nana Addo is that, in fact, President Nana Addo has perfected corruption. But in the matter of Guinea, now, these people were most of them were corrupt. Now, you have the same leader. When he did that, President Nana Addo didn't issue a statement. As a matter of fact, the investiture of the man, they all participated in it. Yet he issued a statement condemning what happened. Guinea, we have a relationship as a state.
Yeah.
Of course, my wife is from Guinea. I have been to Guinea a couple of times. I understand the politics of Guinea long before I even went to Guinea. Okay. I took particular interest in reading to appreciate African politics, and most importantly, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Yeah. Guinea as one of the French-speaking countries that attained independence in the 60s. Remember, when there were Africa, the blocks, countries that gained independence, they were divided as to the part they should charter. with regards to the AU. We had the Casablanca group, you had the Monrovia group. The Casablanca group was made up of countries such as Ghana, Mali, Guinea, Libya, Algeria, and Morocco. And then you have, and Egypt, 7 countries. The Monrovia group was made up of Liberia, Nigeria, and most Francophone countries, including Senegal and Cameroon. But Guinea, as a matter of fact, decided to go in line with Ghana. And in fact, when they attained independence, unlike the other French-speaking countries who attained independence, yet they were still controlled by France. French government went and destroyed virtually everything in Guinea, removing bulb, removing ceiling fans. And I have always argued that Guinea should demand for reparation, because those items that were provided for Guinea were things provided by the money they generated from Guinea. It never came from France. As a matter of fact, without those French-speaking countries, African countries, France would perhaps be a third world country. When Guinea did that, the government of Ghana and Nkrumah took money from Ghana, about 10 million pounds, and gave it to Guinea for development.
But mind you, I mean, Sekou Touré, the late former president, he decided that he would not go with any ties with the French.
No,
which is why the French took everything from them.
They had no, there wasn't any justification in doing what they did. But Nkrumah took monies from Ghana, 10 million pounds, and gave to them. In fact, Nkrumah was on a mission to ensure global peace. And the criminals who are now benefiting from democratic dispensation in this country today, they overthrew Nkrumah. And that is why I've always said this Kotoka International Airport must not be named after a criminal. They overthrew Nkrumah. Nkrumah had to take refuge in Guinea. And in fact, Sekou Touré pronounced that Nkrumah was a co-president of Guinea. So there is that relationship. Guinea has several ethnic groups. The Fula or the Fulanis are the majority, they're about 41%. You have the Malinkes, who are about 33%. You have the Susu, you have the Kisa, there are. But you see, Sekou Touré was a Malinke. The outside president was a Malinke. In fact, the one who overthrew him himself is a Malinke. Assuming that the overthrow was done by a Kisu or was done by a Fula, there would have been problems in Guinea. What is happening in Guinea today is because of what was happening. What we're experiencing in Guinea could not be described as democratic processes. I will not support any truncation of democratic process. That is why, as an NDC, proud NDC member, and someone who is inspired by Rawlings, I never participated in 31st. And I will never participate in 31st because I disagreed with the overthrow of Liman. Even though I support the overthrow of Akufu because the constitution itself gives you the right to do so, that you overthrow a military leader to restore democratic process. And that is what I will agree. I condemned the criminal act that overthrew Nkrumah in the 1966. So I must condemn this coup. However, the conditions that occasioned the coup must not be allowed to happen. These leaders were all seated when that thing was happening. Obasanjo attempted to do such a thing, and there was hue and cry. There was so much agitation against that. When he was doing that, their peers didn't tell him, what you are doing is not, in the interest of the sub-regional peace. If you go to places like Senegal, Sierra Leone, and even Gambia, they had problems with him because of what he was doing, because they knew that it was a recipe for chaos, and we are experiencing. Yesterday, I listened to Ambassador D.K. Osai, very respectful person. He taught me diplomatic practice, and he certainly couldn't have put it. Yes, and he certainly couldn't have put it better. Everybody who was smart enough to appreciate the politics and the conflict in the sub-region would have long realized that what we are experiencing there would happen. Now, you know what he did? He brought this gentleman, created an elite force, and made him lead the elite force at the expense of the military officers there. And one silly thing he did. He increased his own salary, and reduced the salary of everybody, including the military. So for the president to issue a statement condemning it,
but
when he was doing that, what didn't the president issue a statement condemning it?
So the intervention of ECOWAS, is that going to change anything? Looking at the fact that it was something similar that the ECOWAS tried to do with regards to Mali and the coup that took place as well. Do you see any progress in this?
The saddest aspects of this is that if you go to Guinea has the highest iron ore deposit globally. In fact, when you talk of bauxite, they are next to Australia. They have gold. They have diamonds as well. I can tell you, when you come to Conakry, even drains are unavailable. It rains. So it's one of the poorest countries in the world, but one of the most resource countries in Africa. In fact, when I first went to Guinea, I realized that there was consistent doomsday in Guinea. the extent that people had to rely on generators. If you match the resources they have and the kind of things that they are not having, you get worried. And I'm not surprised that corruption is being used as one of the reasons justifying the coup. And I agree rather rarely with Kamal on this platform that yes, corruption have been used in the overthrows of government. The only difference is that when you have people who preached it, when you have people who preach the democratic credentials, such as the overthrown president, he was an opposition leader. He preached he preached for the protection of democracy. When he got power, absolute corrupt, this is absolute.
Okay, Cookie's here. She'll read some messages. We'll let Kamal speak quickly and then we'll
First one says, Bella, please remind Kamal that Afoko was slapped severally. Kamal doesn't even understand what he read from the dictionary regarding the meaning of do or die. Nanado never apologized. Gentlemen, can I please go on? Thank you very much.
He's not debating the text message.
It's a comment that has come through. Can I please read it? But Kamal, you cannot comment.
I'm not commenting.
Okay.
You are not debating
All right,
the text
thank you.
messages. Why?
Nanado never apologized. Rather, he enforced his tribal sentiments by saying, we, the Akan people, the MPP are just hanging on straws. IB says so. Bella, no matter how the MPP and a section of the media interprets Mohammed's do or die comment, the NDC will not sit aloof and see its supporters shot and killed again in 2024. NPP under Nanado is a national disaster. Kweku from Awoshi sent in that one. Good morning, Bella. Why are we making so much noise about the do or die statements made by the former president? This is a popular idiomatic expression in English used to describe a critical situation where one's actions may result in victory or defeat. It means no harm unless people want to twist it to something which is not. No wonder English idioms are hardly taught in our schools these days. Isaaku from Tamale sent in that one. Good morning. The problem is that people want to understand Mohammed's comments in terms of Nanado's all die, be die. Kelvin in Accra sent in that one. Bella, this MPP man thinks we are kids in this country. The comment former President Mahama made was harmless. Only mischievous MPP members are trying to interpret it to be violent. We, the Ghanaian people, are not seeing it that way. We are waiting patiently to kick the MPP out. Erickson from Kase sent in that one. Bella, we are disappointed with such an irresponsible comment from a former statesman just because of power. Former President Mahama is still saying he was cheated in 2020 elections, but he couldn't even prove it with any evidence in the court. His children must take the lead in 2024. Amin from Bole sent in that one. Ayu Farouk Tamale not says, good morning to you all. Yes, I salute the former President Mahama for saying what he said, and he shouldn't retract the comments he made. The NDC will not leave any stone unturned come 2024. The do or die comment has come to stay. Hashtag do or die. Bella, if JM hadn't said do or die, then he wouldn't have been a serious candidate. Bella, do or die helped the NDC to get the Speaker of Parliament. Suleiman from Kintampo says that. I'm not sure that's what happened. I'm not sure that's what got Albert Bagwin as Speaker of Parliament. Okay, gentlemen, just 2 minutes and I'll finish.
Oh, you kicked something else, not a ballot box. Okay.
Okay, just 2 minutes and then I'll finish. There's a verse in the Bible that says, if we perish, we perish. And that was by lepers in the Bible. Now, no jobs, no food. And some people with demons and principalities are saying what? John Mahama should apologize for what? He will not apologize for do or die. Hashtag 2024 do or die. Now, Hearts of Folk says, never say die until the bones are rotting. Have they seen rotten bones before a person dies? Prince Henry is asking. Last one says, my worry here is when Mahama said that the elections were rigged or robbed with the help of the EC. It is so bad to hear these things from our leaders. Bella.
Thank you. Thank you, Cookie. Our time is up. Final words. Final words. Sorry. What did you kick? Let Kamal speak. You spoke for quite a while.
If he didn't do or die in Parliament,
don't worry.
We wouldn't have gotten the
But
speaker.
you kicked something in
He
Parliament.
was kicking ballot boxes all over. And that's why he was kicking ballot boxes.
Final words, please.
Yes.
Oh no! Bella, you are now telling
please. I said he was kicking ballot boxes all over. That's what they meant by their do or die. You see,
do or die gave us the speaker. if we didn't do or die. That is a perfect example
But
of
the
do or
attitude
die.
of the MPs in the chamber that day cannot be.
Bella,
Nobody that they brought military men into the chamber. This
I mean,
was
that
an
entire day had issues, but it's not just the military.
Bella,
Even the
that is
attitude of the
Bella,
MPs
Bella,
as
that they
well.
brought
That
military
is
into
not
the
even
chamber.
the
That
issue
was
at stake.
Don't worry.
dangerous
Let
for
him
our
speak,
democracy.
otherwise I'll be taken off air.
Very
please.
well. You see, Bella, it is important we put
You're
on
also
record.
tapping the table, by the way.
Hey, Bella,
Carry on.
you see, it's important we put on record that once again, coup d'etats must be abhorred, must be chastised, must be condemned. Okay? Anybody who wish for such to happen to Ghana or any other country in Africa, that person is nothing. That person is nothing but a speller of doom, and that will not be proper for us. Now, Bella, my good friend makes a very important, or gives a good important example.
I thought I was
He says, look,
I'm not a friend.
he says Guinea is endowed with all the natural resources. Yet you go to Guinea and the spectacle that is presented you is a sad one. Sometimes I blame it also on our international agreements.
Okay.
With multinational companies that comes to mind in our countries. We go into certain negotiations at the expense of our own countries. That we are the owners of the resources, we are the owners of those natural resources, but yet we are shortchanged when it comes to the negotiating to understand that indeed strategic investor comes into the country or operates in the country.
That means your government is also as guilty with regards to agreements?
I'm speaking in reference to Africa as a whole.
Okay.
Everywhere.
And I'm just reiterating.
Yes, and I'm saying not just my government.
Okay.
I'm speaking to why. We've seen governments upon governments. Don't just refer to our government.
I'm just referring to that because
going
your
forward,
government,
the youth
your party
of
is in
Africa,
power.
the youth in Africa, okay, we rising up, especially the young crop politicians coming up. We should be smart when it comes to negotiating on behalf of our country.
All right, we have to go. We have to go.
Aka Energy, he tells
now he says violence. We are violent and give examples and whatever.
Yeah.
I am going to reiterate and
Ask him
state
whether
again
he supports
that when
this
it comes to violence,
ask him, does he support
he's
the
number
1960s?
one violent person sitting here.
How is he
Ask
violent?
him.
I know him. He was kicking ballot boxes in Parliament all over. You don't know. This man was all over kicking ballot boxes.
We have
He's
to
the
wrap
number
up
one violent person.
at this point. Otherwise, we won't go.
It's a violent
we won't go.
party.
Thank you.
What I
Thank you
was
so
simply
much.
saying is that the perfect example of a do or die is to defend democratic process. What we did in Parliament in the elections of Speaker Bagman was do or die.
You destroyed state resources. You destroyed state resources. If you did that in Parliament, then that's a signal decent, and not just you, but
that's what they want to do.
the entire chamber.
First and foremost, I didn't.
What signal are you sending to the regular Ghanaians?
I didn't keep ballot box.
Okay.
I didn't keep
We have
ballot
to go.
box.
Carissa Nelson, thank you, gentlemen. Carissa